confirmed the meeting did in fact take place. It happened at the White House, a cabinet level meeting to discuss how to further cover up the Epstein files and what to do now with Gilly Maxwell, that she's been moved from the Tallahassee prison to a minimum security facility in Bryan, Texas, where the Trump regime waived the fact that she was a sex trafficker and not allowed to be at this minimum security facility in Bryan, Texas. It should be known, and this has not really been reported elsewhere, Bryan, Texas is right next to Texas A&M. It's a college town, so they have placed a sex trafficker in a college town who is known to recruit young people to sex traffic and sentenced to 20 years in prison for doing that. NBC News has confirmed that a meeting on the Epstein case was held last night, and it took place at the White House. So yesterday, the Trump regime said, no, there's not going to be a meeting at J.D. Vance's residence to talk about Gilly Maxwell and covering up the Epstein files. They thought that they were being smart by saying, oh, it's not going to happen there. But you know where it happened? Much worse. The cover-up meeting taking place at the White House last night. Who else was present? You had Attorney General Pam Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel, who's involved in the cover-up. You had Todd Blanche, the number 2 at the Department of Justice there. Unclear where Donald Trump was during the meeting. That detail has not been fully figured out yet, although I think it's pretty clear that he was very close to that, and he was the one who organized the meeting in the first place. So that's what the Trump cabinet was speaking about last night, covering up the Epstein files, what to do with Gilly Maxwell. Should they pardon her? Should they commute her sentence? What should they do regarding a future habeas petition that Gilly Maxwell is going to file in the Southern District of New York now that Donald Trump has basically given her a golden ticket? And Trump has said that the Epstein files are a hoax and that everything about Epstein is a hoax, and that James Comey, the father of the lead prosecutor of Gilly Maxwell, Maureen Comey, was involved in perpetrating the hoax. So Ghislaine's obviously going to make that argument in the federal court in the Southern District of New York. Other topics of discussion, whether to release the transcript or audio recording of the meeting between Donald Trump's number 2 at the Department of Justice, Todd Blanche, and Gilly Maxwell, that took place in Tallahassee, Florida for approximately 9 hours. That's the meeting where Blanche gave Gilly Maxwell immunity from the statements that she made. It should be noted that's a significant deal as well, because there's no statute of limitations on the prosecution for sex trafficking or for future unlawful conduct, in the state of New York. So giving her immunity for those statements, if she's revealing new information that can be incriminating, say if Donald Trump pardons her for previous acts, well, she's now got immunity for the things that she has not been convicted of as well. And as I've said, it's a pretty heinous thing that you put her in this minimum security facility in Camp Bryan in Texas, which is right by the college town of Texas A&M. So you've put the sex trafficker right next to a college town whose MO is to recruit young girls to be sex trafficked. Now, here was the moment yesterday where Donald Trump said all of this is a hoax. There's no meeting taking place. And then J.D. Vance is like, ha, 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 ha. There's no meeting here. They're like laughing about it. Watch them laugh. We're talking about sex trafficking here, and we're talking about what you're doing with Gilly Maxwell and what you're doing with the Epstein files that you promised to release. And they're laughing like, ha, 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 ha. It's such a hoax. Here, play this clip.
Mr. President.
The two Kevins, very good.
Mr. President, is Vice President Vance hosting a gathering this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
Is he working on what?
Is he hosting some kind of gathering of top advisors this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
I don't know. I could ask you that question. I don't know of it, but I think here's the man right here.
I saw a report today, and it's completely fake news. We're not meeting to talk about the Epstein situation, and I think the reporter who reported it needs to get better sources.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country. And that's just a way of trying to divert attention to something that's total bullshit. Okay.
By the way, here's a photo of that Camp Bryan facility right there. Just so you understand how unprecedented it is to take somebody convicted of sex trafficking and move them to a minimum security facility like the one in Bryan, Texas, right next to Texas A&M, where there's not even like security guards there. I want you to listen to over here the co-director of Pink Lady Consultants, Coleman, and here she talks about Holly Coleman, and she's, consults with women who are in the prison system about what to expect. She's like, this never happens. This has never happened before, ever. Here, play this clip.
The idea of somebody who's serving a 20-year sentence, convicted of sexually grooming children for Epstein, sometimes participating in the abuse herself, is an upgrade like this normal?
No, this is absolutely unprecedented of what it transpired. So everybody is completely shocked. Within the Bureau of Prisons, they're under the DOJ, and she was at an FCI in Tallahassee. And with an FCI, there's really two types of prisons for women, and it's more egregious crimes. She was behind what we call the razor wire. And for her to be transferred to Bryan, which is a camp, which means no razor wire. You can literally walk off the property. And the custody level of these women, usually at a camp, are 10 years and less. And again, low-level nonviolent crimes. Hers is an egregious crime. She had what we call a management variable assigned to her, which means she is not to be moved anywhere because of the nature of her crime. So by being transferred to a camp, ordered by the DOJ to the BOP to do this. Again, you've never seen this in my life.
And folks, even right-wing podcasters like Candace Owens are not buying what Donald Trump is selling now. Here, play this clip.
Trump, don't even act surprised when he pardons Ghislaine Maxwell. That would just be foolish of you, foolish of me to think that he's not going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay. Trump is implicated by his sheer deceit right now in this moment. He is being so deceitful. It's incredible. And it seems to only be getting worse because now they keep pretending that they're trying to get to the bottom of everything, but they don't actually get to the bottom of everything. They actually seem to just be covering things up. They're making moves that only reveal a deeper cover up.
And so as we learn about this meeting that's taking place at the White House to cover up the Epstein files, to support Ghislaine Maxwell, I think it's important that we hear from Epstein and Ghislaine survivors. I want you to meet Sarah Ransom. Here, play this clip.
She participated. She tortured me and others. And she's worse than Jeffrey. She broke the sisterhood. She broke that bond. She was supposed to be a protector and nurturer. And she failed us. And she'll have to live with that for the rest of her life.
I want you to meet Epstein survivor Haley Robson. Here, play this clip.
Even speculation she might be pardoned. How does that make you feel?
Obviously not really good. Sorry. I'm extremely upset. I'm angry. I'm disgusted. To be denied your innocence, denied your justice, and then to have your healing taken away from you without any consent, it really feels like a part of me is dying inside. Ghislaine Maxwell doesn't deserve any mercy. She doesn't deserve any grace. She deserves nothing. To be clear, Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for her counts of child exploitation and trafficking. Why would anybody give somebody like her, who is a monster and a liar, a time of day to explain anything? She doesn't know anything, and if she did, she would have already had the opportunity to speak. That opportunity has passed. The fact that there is all this talk about her wanting to come forward, no, absolutely not, is a slap in the face to all of us.
Here's what she said when she was recruited at Mar-a-Lago by Epstein in the Mar-a-Lago spa by Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and the circumstances surrounding how she was located at Mar-a-Lago and then sex trafficked, or as Donald Trump said, she was stolen from him at Mar-a-Lago. But then Donald Trump remained friends with Epstein for the next 7 years. Play this clip.
She is a monster. She's worse than Epstein. She did things even worse than Epstein did. She was vicious, she was evil, and she was a woman.
Her lawyers have said Ghislaine Maxwell is not a Jeffrey Epstein, that she has been a victim of media spin.
They're doing their job, but I know that woman. I've known her really well. Put it this way. Epstein was Pinocchio and she was Geppetto. She was the guy controlling
the strings.
Jeffrey. Yep. She was pulling the strings. She had his money. He had her contacts, but Ghislaine was much more conniving and smart than Epstein ever was.
Virginia, how did you meet her and what was her pitch to you?
I'm working at Mar-a-Lago, loving it. I'm working in the spa area. I was reading about anatomy and massage, and that's when Ghislaine came up to me and said, "Oh my God, you're reading a book about massage." And, you know, long story short, she told me that she knew of a man who was looking for a traveling masseuse. And if he liked me, then I would get educated and I would become a real massage therapist.
I want you to meet Epstein survivor Annie Farmer to see how she feels about all of this. Play this clip.
She didn't just procure girls and women for Epstein, but she herself participated in their abuse. I think that's an important thing for people to understand. And then she also, you know, made threats. She made threats to my sister, to our family, when it was clear that my sister had reported her. And so I think that to be told that suddenly she's being brought to the table as a potential source of information when she's previously been charged with perjury by the government is very confusing and unsettling.
I want you to meet Epstein survivor Alicia Arden to see what she feels about all of this. Play this clip.
Should Miss Maxwell be pardoned? No, Ghislaine Maxwell should not be pardoned. She was convicted of sex trafficking of children. This is a terrible crime.
And I want you to hear from Virginia Giuffre's family right now, her brother and sister-in-law. Here, play this clip.
Conversations with Virginia, she really described Ghislaine as almost this puppet master, that she kind of was the brains behind recruiting the girls and really used like her womanhood to build that trust and lure these girls in. And then the mask would slip. And she wasn't a victim like the narrative is trying to change right now. She was an active participant in the abuse, the physical and destructive abuse. She was an active participant and a ringleader in this.
She was she was actively participating?
Correct, yeah. My sister had conversations with me about, you know, how she would physically get involved with her and other survivors out there and physically assault them. And that's, you know, it's a big reason she described her, I think she put it best, as a monster.
Now, it should be noted as well, about 2 days ago when Donald Trump was asked about his Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, and that meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell and what's taking place there, Donald Trump's response is that people who should not be involved or aren't involved are not hurt by something that could come out in the files. He's referring to himself here, not the victims. Have you ever heard anyone sound more guilty than this? Here, play this clip.
I just a very highly thought of person, respected by everybody. And I didn't talk to him about it, but I will tell you that whatever he asked would be totally appropriate, and it's not an uncommon thing to do that. And I think he probably wants to make sure that, you know, people that should not be involved or aren't involved are not hurt by something that would be very, very unfortunate, very unfair to a lot of people. But I will say this, Todd Blanche is one of the most highly respected people you'll ever meet. So I know this. I didn't discuss it with him, but anything he talked about with her or the fact that he did that, not unusual, number one, and most importantly is something that would be totally above board.
And then Donald Trump pretends that he did not approve of the transfer of Ghislaine Maxwell to the facility right by Texas A&M. And then he claims this is a very common thing, when of course it is not a common thing. Here, play this clip.
2 questions for you. One, were you aware of and did you personally approve the prison transfer for Ghislaine Maxwell that your Justice Department?
I didn't know about it at all. No, I read about it just like you did.
And do you believe that she is
It's not a very uncommon thing.
Do you believe that she's credible to be listening to? Your Deputy Attorney General sat down with her recently.
Well, let me tell you, he's a very talented man. His name is Todd Blanche. He's a very legitimate person, very high, just a very highly thought of person, respected by everybody. And I didn't talk to him about it, but I will tell you that whatever he asked would be totally appropriate, and it's not an uncommon thing to do that. And I think he probably wants to make sure that, people that should not be involved or aren't involved are not hurt by something that would be very, very unfortunate, very unfair to a lot of people.
And I'll leave with this. This is Congressmember Garcia saying we need to be focused on the victims right here. That's who we need to be focused on. Here, play this clip.
Look, at the end of the day, it's clear that Donald Trump is covering something up. It's clear that Donald Trump is involved in some sort of cover-up at the White House or the DOJ. I mean, we know that Donald Trump is in the files. The DOJ has told him that. We also know that there are other powerful people, and we should not care who they are, what power they hold, how much wealth they have, what political party they're in. But those victims deserve justice. The full files should be released to the public. And of course, we should protect the victims along the way. But at this point, this is something the president campaigned on. Yeah. We now have a bipartisan vote of the Oversight Committee to get the files released. And so it's important that James Comer signs that subpoena immediately and we get the files in front of the Congress.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. Thank you for watching.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.